Okay. All right. So the recorder is on, and we are convened here today, May 26, 2021, for a hearing in the matter of Tara Campbell versus University of Wisconsin Parkside. And this is ERD case number CR 2019-00494, EEOC case number 26G 2019-00537C. And I'm Administrative Law Judge Roseanne Wasserman, and I've been assigned to preside over this hearing. And I will have the parties, first of all, state their appearances for the record. First of all, for the complainant.
Attorney Thomas J. McClure on behalf of the complainant, appearing remotely, and the complainant, Tara Campbell, also appears remotely.
Okay. And for the respondent?
For the respondent, Attorney Matt Lind is. Can you hear me okay?
Now you cut off for just a couple seconds.
Yeah. All right, hold on. No, I can't hear you. Okay, could somebody say something to make sure the volume's still working?
The volume's still working.
Okay, good.
Yes,
right, so
we can hear you.
Okay, Attorney Matt Lind is here representing UW Parkside, along with Sharonda Glass, who is the Director of Human Resources here at UW Parkside.
Okay, and then I understand also that Crystal Stonewall is here, and she, as I understand it, is a law clerk right now with the UW legal system. Is that correct?
Yes, Crystal could introduce herself, but she's with the Office of General Counsel in UW system. And
she is here, and then Ms. Stonewall, you're here just as an observer. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I should note for the record that this hearing is being done through the WebEx video conferencing platform. So this is a video hearing, so we're all participating remotely. And I will provide a brief procedural introduction here before we get into the testimony, so it's clear for the record what the issues are. And this case involves a complaint that the complainant, Tara Campbell, filed with the Equal Rights Division against UW Parkside. She filed this complaint on February 19th, 2019. And in this complaint, the complainant alleged that the respondent, UW Parkside, discriminated against her on the basis of disability with regard to the terms and conditions of her employment, also with regard to an alleged refusal to accommodate her disability, and then finally with regard to the termination of her employment. And then this complaint was investigated by the Equal Rights Division, and on August 21st, 2019, the Equal Rights Division issued actually two determinations. And one is called a preliminary determination, or a PD. The other one was an initial determination, or an ID. In the PD, the investigator concluded that most of the claims, or several of the claims in the complaint, were untimely filed because they involved events that occurred more than 300 days prior to the filing of the complaint. And so that portion of the complaint involving the untimely claims, that those claims were dismissed for lack of timeliness. Then the initial determination, the ID, addressed the rest of the case, the portion of the case that was timely, that involved events that occurred within the 300-day period preceding the filing of the complaint. And so the initial determination, though, found no probable cause to believe that discrimination had occurred with regard to those timely claims. That is, the refusal to reasonably accommodate the alleged disability, and also the decision to terminate the employment of the complainant. That because of disability, those claims, it was concluded there was no probable cause to believe that discrimination had occurred as alleged in the complaint. The complainant, Ms. Campbell, then appealed actually both the preliminary determination and the initial determination. The way we do it here, though, the preliminary determination part of the case will be addressed at a, excuse me. Oh yeah. Just a minute, I guess I didn't print that out. Just one moment.
And Judge, would you like me to? I have that decision here, and I can.
Yeah,
share it with
I just have to. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have that printed out. There was okay, so both the PD. Oh, no, please don't. Okay. Actually, going forward, I'll be sharing documents, and rather than having the parties individually share documents. I appreciate you doing that, but well, if there comes a point where I'm not able to get to a document that we need to, and I would need to ask the parties to put something on the screen, I'll ask that. But yeah, the way this works here, the preliminary determination is addressed first, and so the appeal of the preliminary determination was referred to, or it was assigned to Judge John Gelhard. And Judge Gelhard issued a decision on the appeal of the preliminary determination on November 15th, 2019. And he affirmed that dismissal, and he concluded that, in fact, the claims were untimely. And so he affirmed the dismissal. And then that decision can be appealed at a later time. But then after that decision was issued, the rest of the case was referred, was then assigned to me to address the issues in the initial determination. So that's the case. The part of the case that's before me now is to determine whether there is probable cause to believe that discrimination occurred with regard to the refusal to accommodate, an alleged refusal to reasonably accommodate, and the decision to terminate. And so so today's hearing is a hearing on the issue of probable cause. So because it's an issue, hearing on the issue of probable cause and not a hearing on the merits, that means that the burden of proof is lower. The complainant needs to show that discrimination probably occurred, rather than the higher burden of proving a preponderance of the evidence, which would be the case at a hearing on the merits. Also, because it's a probable cause hearing, and because even if probable cause is ultimately found, at this point there wouldn't be any kind of order for reinstatement or back pay or anything, any kind of remedial order, and so we don't need to get into issues related to interim earnings or efforts to find other jobs, interim earnings, all the issues that would be related to remedy. So if I do find probable cause in this case, then at that point the case would be certified to a hearing on the merits, and the case would then be assigned to another judge to hold a hearing on the merits. If I find no probable cause, then that decision, and in a written decision, that decision will be appealable to the Labor and Industry Review Commission. Okay, so one other thing I just wanted to mention, since as I just mentioned in this procedural introduction, because some of the case, a large part of the case has been dismissed for untimeliness, we're not going to address those claims in this hearing, only, as I said, the termination and the refusal to accommodate. However, some of those earlier events that are not actionable unto themselves because they're untimely, there may be some testimony related to those events just in order to get some kind of, chronology as background, but also some of those events may be relevant in terms of the state of mind of the decision maker with regard to the termination decision. Some of those earlier events may, be directly relevant. I will have to see. There may be some objections, and I'll have to address them as they come up. But just so it's clear that those earlier claims, having to do with, well, I'm not going to get into them now, but those issues, just so it's understood, we're not going to be actually addressing them as claims, only as background. Is there anything else that we need to discuss on the record before we get into the testimony? I guess not. No one's saying anything. So we move into the complainant's case, and as I understand it, the complainant is going to be her only witness. Well, I shouldn't say that. That is something I should mention. Both parties want to call Sharonda Glass, the respondent's representative, as a witness. And so when we met, we had a pre-hearing conference last week. And during that conference, it was discussed that rather than have Ms. Glass testify twice, first adversely during the complainant's case and then again during the respondent's case, that we would instead have her testify once. And so she will be testifying later during the respondent's case. But technically, her testimony will also be part of the complainant's case. But other than that, the complainant's only witness will be herself. All right, so just one moment. So, Mr. McClure, then you'll be calling Ms. Campbell to testify?
Yes.
Okay, so actually, Ms. Campbell. Oh, there you are. Didn't see you at all. All right. Now, because we're doing this by video and we're not in person, I'm not going to have you stand up, but I will ask you while you're sitting to please raise your right hand so that I can swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. And if you could please, first of all, state for the record your name and spell it, please.
Tara L. Campbell, T-A-R-A, last name Campbell, C-A-M-P-B-E-L-L.
Okay. And one other just quick thing to, I guess, save a little bit of time during the hearing. There's no dispute that the respondent in this case is the University of Wisconsin Parkside, and we do not necessarily have to say that whole name the whole time. We can, if we refer to UW Parkside, or even to the respondent, if we use the term respondent, or even if we say the university, we'll all understand, unless otherwise indicated, that we're referring to the respondent at the University of Wisconsin Parkside. Okay. Okay.
I'm assuming that my counterpart is agreeable to that, although I would note that the actual legal entity that is being sued is the Board of Regents of the University of Wisconsin system. and that the University of Wisconsin Parkside is just an operating unit thereof. But
For purposes,
no,
yes, and I
everything
understand
else is
that.
fine. Yeah.
Right, but for purposes of this case, and you know, the named respondent is the University of Wisconsin Parkside. But of course, during questioning of Ms. I mean, it's not in dispute at all, but during the questioning of Ms. Glass, I mean, perhaps you can clarify some of that as far as, you know, the University of Wisconsin Parkside and how it fits into the University of Wisconsin system and all that.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, so go ahead then. Attorney McClure, you may go ahead with your direct.
Tara, what is your full name
Tara L. Campbell,
and what is your date of birth
11/18/72.
and what is your residence?
Ms. Campbell, I'm just having a little bit of trouble hearing you, and I don't know if it's just me, and I don't know if, well, I'll just, if you can try to speak up, and I don't know if it's the, you know, the audio on your computer. If it's the volume, you can put it up, pick it up.
Okay, is this better?
Maybe, marginally better.
That's fine.
Do you have, you don't happen to have a headset? I guess I'm the only one wearing one.
Right.
Sometimes that helps, but if you don't have that, then we'll obviously go ahead without. Well, hopefully, as long as, you know, you're being recorded, I mean, the recorder picks you up, and hopefully, let's
I
see.
turned the speaker all the way up. You have already launched. Okay, yeah, that's it. It's up as far as it'll go.
Okay, we'll work with it then. All right, and your name is pronounced Tara, and I'm sorry, as opposed to Tara.
Yes, it's Tara.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I've mispronounced it
That's-
here up to now. I'm sorry.
I'm used to it.
Okay. All right. All right. Go ahead then, please. Sorry.
Birthday 11/18/72.
And what is your residence address?
3223 17th Street. Racine, Wisconsin.
What does your education consist of?
Bachelor's in psychology,
From what institution?
UW Parkside.
And then you went to high school before that, correct?
Yes.
When did you receive your degree from UW Parkside?
June of 2016, I believe.
You are familiar with the 3 exhibits that have been marked on your behalf in this administrative law hearing for the purposes of today's testimony?
Yes.
Did you provide those to me as your counsel to then electronically file and make part of the record today?
Yes.
Are these documents which you personally received from UW Parkside?
Yes.
And they are the official evidence of your college degree?
Yes.
All right. Why don't we, I'm going to share the screen for that right now to mark those exhibits. Just a minute. Okay, can everybody see the screen, the document here?
Yes.
Okay. And so there are, I have pre-marked here 3 documents: Complainants Exhibit 1, abbreviated C1, and then we also have C2 and C3. And do you want me to mark all 3 of them for the record?
Yes.
Okay, so as you can see on the screen, Complainants Exhibit 1 is the complainant's college degree transcript. Exhibit 2 is the complainant diploma letter. And complainant's exhibit number 3 is the actual diploma, complainant's diploma. And do we need to actually look at the documents? Is there any, does the respondent have any objection to these documents?
No, the respondent has no objection. We've reviewed the documents and we can confirm that they are authentic records that are what they purport to be.
All right. You're offering all 3 documents in?
Yes, at this time.
All right. So complainant's exhibits C1, C2, and C3 are all received then into evidence. Is there any, you know, as I already noted, the first one is the transcript of Ms. Campbell's experience at UW Parkside, and then the second, the complainant's C2 is I guess a letter regarding the diploma, and then the last one is the actual diploma. So I guess they speak for themselves. If you're not going to be asking any specific questions, I will stop the sharing, and so we have a full screen without the documents. Okay. Okay.
Tara, how long did you work at UW Parkside?
Worked at Parkside for 20 years, but 23 years for the state before I transferred to Parkside in 1996.
And where did you work before that?
Southern Wisconsin Center.
And what type of state institution is that?
I worked at it was a disability facility.
Is that for physically impaired or cognitively impaired adults?
Correct.
What year did you start there?
October 1996.
And what was the transfer to UW Parkside year?
May of 1998.
At the Southern Wisconsin Center, what did your duties consist of?
I was a custodian too.
And did you leave that job under good standing?
Yes, at that time, we state workers were allowed to transfer to certain positions. So I transferred to UW Parkside.
Would it be correct that your employment there was uneventful and you were able to perform all duties satisfactorily for that 2 years?
Oh, yes, yes.
When you transferred to UW Parkside, what department were you assigned to initially?
I was assigned to the police and public safety department. Worked out of that department as a motor vehicle operator light.
What types of motor vehicles did you operate?
I operated a shuttle bus, which what capacity held 20 people.
And for how many years did you remain in that title capacity from start to finish in terms of the general calendar and not referencing any times you may have been out ill or out injured? What was the general parameter from start to finish that you worked in that position?
From May of 1998 to April 26 of 2018.
During that time, were you actively doing motor vehicle driving, generally speaking, for the bulk of that time on a regular weekly basis?
Yes, I did.
How many days a week did you generally work under that title assignment?
We started out the first few years, it was 40 hours a week, and then it became like they changed my schedule to 10 hours a day. I would work 45 hours a week for a couple years because I worked Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day, 5 hours on Friday. So it fluctuated and it for years.
What years were you in that 45-hour a week track of working? Between 98 and 2018, what couple of years were you in that higher amount of working? Just roughly, if it was sometime back 15, 17, or 11, 12, or 8 or 9, 2008 or 9, what generally just give us an idea?
8 or 9 to about 13, 14,
All right.
I believe.
What happened from 13 on in terms of your required weekly work hour amounts?
They had reduced it back to regular hours.
That's 40 hours.
Yes.
And did you stay on that same schedule of a Monday through Thursday 10-hour and Friday 5-hour regimen?
No, I had to work 5 days, 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday.
What was the hours starting and ending each day?
7:30 to 4:30 was that time.
And was that the basic shift you were working at the conclusion of your time in that position in April of 2018?
Yes, it was regular shift. Yes.
How many of the last years were you in that typical hourly setup?
About 4.
The last 4 years?
3 or 4.
When you had a number of injuries, there was times when you were not working at that job but still had employment there.
Correct.
What would you do when you were not working driving the shuttle in terms of lighter duty or other duty that you were given?
I would dispatch for the police department at times.
What does that mean?
Take the calls from the officers, report their incoming, outcoming, their rounds, check in and, if they checked and locked certain areas, going on lunch break, the 911 call need to be made. I would make those calls.
I'm sorry, you did this as a light duty work rather than doing your shuttle driving work at times?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say the police department, you're referring to the campus police for UW Parkside?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a rough estimate you could give us of how many weeks or months you had that type of alternative work assignment during the time you were working at UW Parkside, either for a post-medical surgery time or for some other reason that the organization just asked you to work there on a spot basis? How many total months over the time you worked there were you doing that type of campus police department phone desk work?
I did it a few times in the summer, like the whole summer, or summer times before I even got injured. I would come in and work for the summertime.
Would it be fair to say that you did this for months on a number of occasions where you'd be assigned there for a month or 2 or 3 continuously and then you go back to driving shuttle?
Yes, I did it for a while, yeah.
Any way you can try to give us an overview, if you were to stick those weeks and months together, the total amount of accumulated time during your time at UW Parkside, you were doing basically desk, non-vehicle, regular assigned work for whatever reason?
Well, in the beginning, like starting from 96, a few years in, I would do dispatch, say for about 2 or 3 years. I would help out doing that. When I had got injured, my right rotator cuff in 15, they start creating or having me put together content for the public safety, the signs and stuff to be put into the classrooms. I would put together content for, the safety books that they were doing.
Was that also desk work?
Well, yeah, I would have to.
One moment. I'm going to pause the recording for just a minute. I just turned the recorder back on. I'm sorry for the interruption. Okay, so we're recording again, and I'm sorry. And you were just asking about the desk work. And by the way, right before we went on that very short break, there was a reference to an injury and that had occurred, I believe, in 2015. I don't know if you want to get into that or you're going to circle back to that later. I don't know.
I will circle back.
Okay, but just so I got that, I wasn't sure I heard that there was an injury to the to your right shoulder. Is that correct, Ms.
Yes,
Campbell?
right.
In 2015? Is that what you
Yes.
said? I wasn't sure what you said as to the year. Okay, and you'll circle back to that and get into more detail about that later. That's fine. So I'm sorry. So if you want to keep asking questions about the dispatch work that was done occasionally, that would be great.
We've talked thus far about 3 different types of work assignments: a shuttle driver, a dispatch communications role, and then the last one was a clerical support role in the police department creating communication materials. Would that be a fair overview to this point of the jobs that you were assigned at UW Parkside?
Yes, and it was one more.
What's the 4th type of job that you also had there?
I operated in like security, locking down labs at night through the whole.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You did what? Security what at night? I missed a word in there.
I locked down labs, important rooms and doors in the university.
Did you say lockdown of labs?
Yes,
I'm
made
not
sure.
sure.
I made
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what you meant by that. Maybe you can explain making sure all the rooms were locked at night is.
Yes, I made sure they were secured and locked. The ones that were supposed to be locked and the ones that were supposed to be open, I had to make sure they were open for the professors in the morning. I locked down certain entrance doors in the university.
And you did this for the security? What department was this that you were working for when you did that?
Out the police department, the same department.
So I am a little confused. I don't know if you want to clarify that with some questioning, Mr. McClure, but there was a dispatch where it was actually like the 911 calls coming into the university police, or I wasn't quite sure what when.
If there were an emergency on campus and the officer had respond to the emergency, they would call using phonetic codes to indicate for me to call 911, the fire department, or anyone they needed located within the university. They would call the dispatch, and I would supply or provide the information.
You'd provide you would actually make the calls to the 911 on
Yes, I did. Yes,
when there were emergency situations on the campus.
yes, ma'am.
And in all of these, I guess I'm a little, and I know this probably relates to the accommodation issue, so it's important to get into this. But all of these different